Today we're going to be installing a hardwood floor in this family room area. It's a large area, as you can see, and in fact it's a concrete floor, nothing more. And over here is what we're going to be putting down. It's a beautiful hardwood floor. This is a Brazilian walnut. It's an exotic species, but what's interesting is this is a tongue and groove system. You can see the tongue on the edge here. This is solid wood all the way through. There's a wood layer, and then on top you have the actual veneer, the physical product. And it's coated with like an aluminum oxide finish. This is very, very hard. Brazilian walnut is amongst one of the hardest species you can get. So it should be pretty scratch resistant and also dent proof. And again, this just goes down on the floor a number of different ways. You can put it down through kind of a floating form where you're not gluing it. In this case, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using glue, and we're using a special kind of adhesive here that includes a moisture inhibitor. Basically locks the concrete and prevents any form of moisture from flowing up from the ground that could cause any buckling or long-term damage. This has a 25-year warranty on it, so you put it down with the special trowels that the manufacturer requires you to use. So that was rather costly to invest in that, but considering the price of all this hardwood, and we've got about 1,100 square here we're going to do, you can see all of it. It's well worth using the glue and using what they recommend so we get a good finished product. You can see there is a lot of it here. We've had it in the room to get it acclimated. So we've got a lot of work to do. We'll go ahead and begin by scribing our initial line, and we'll pick it up in just a second. Our next step is to check for moisture in the slab, and the manufacturer of the hardwood floor makes this moisture testing kit. It's really a bunch of chemicals that allows you to test the slab to see, but we're going to use the old-fashioned way, and that's just use a piece of plastic and trap it on top of the slab. This is a 6-inch concrete slab, and I've had this the last 24 hours, and you can see there's no moisture or anything, so we're good to begin laying the floor. Where do you start? That's always the question. We need to make sure where we're square in this room, because there may be one wall like this wall here in the corner that may not be square, and this one may be square. We lucked out though, because I've gone ahead and I've used the 3, 4, 5 method, basically measuring off from this corner here 3 feet, which is this mark, and then over here we measure off 4 feet, which is this mark, and then connect the two diagonals should be exactly 5 feet. If you remember from math class, the 3 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet, the actual Pythagorean theorem tells us that we have a completely square wall. So we'll begin laying the floor in this corner, and we'll move in this direction across the room. By the way, I measured across. Well, we didn't get as much done today, but what we did do was very important. This is actually the most important part of the job, and you can see that we ran these 4 strips all the way through the entire length of the room. Probably got about 35 feet or so in this room alone. And I was showing you earlier in the corner how I made those marks that we were actually square. But thinking through this, if you notice we have this fireplace here that comes out, and then also we have these built-in bookcases. So it's important that we establish a straight line. And I came off the bookcase here, basically 4 boards to make sure we were exactly square, and then we snapped a chalk line all the way from one wall down to the next. And then from that point, we started building out and gluing the flooring. That way we're square. Also, to keep everything square, you'll notice I cut these little scrap pieces here, and they're right on a seam. And I used a glue gun, just a simple glue gun here, to glue these down temporarily. And you can see how these come all the way down. And the reason for doing that was just to keep everything nice and square. So this took a good part of the day to do. And now that it is square, we can move everything going this way for the rest of the room. In the meantime, I've taken all the wood out. This is a beautiful hardwood. It's a Brazilian walnut.